hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I put together 15 of my best beach DIYs using supplies from the Dollar Tree. So we're about to get really creative here. The first DIY, I want to turn this little wood sign from the Dollar Tree into a really beautiful decorative palm tree. So I kind of want that palm tree trunk shape where, you know, it's like wider at the bottom and it slightly goes up towards the top, giving that cool palm tree shape. And so I thought I could maybe get that with some of these popsicle craft sticks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hot glue this on. And I just make sure that the bottom part is hanging completely off the sign, like that, with the top part secured to the sign. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides. And I just kind of want to build out the bottom of this. And I wanted something strong for this so that it would give it the same structure that the wood sign is giving it. So popsicle sticks worked out perfectly. Now on this one, I'm just going to glue it side to side with the first one. So this one is kind of completely hanging out over the edges. So I will have to go back and reinforce that a little bit, but I just do a bead of hot glue along the edge and stick it next to the first one. Now I want to continue that slow, gradual bend of the outside of the tree. So I also do a popsicle on each side of the top, kind of continuing the same line from the outside. Now, I think that looks pretty good. I think that's going to work. And I couldn't really find anything that was like shaped like this already, so I just kind of had to make it myself. Now, to reinforce the back, I just cut a popsicle stick in half and hot glue that onto the back to make that a little bit stronger. And we're going to wrap all this in burlap, so you won't be able to see any of that. It's just going to provide a structure. Now, this is the burlap that I'm going to use. This is the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I love this stuff. If you're not lucky enough to find this, you can always use the rolled burlap from Dollar Tree as well. I kind of wanted the wraparound look for mine, so it would kind of have lines and graduations on it. I think that kind of looks like a palm tree, so I just start by hot gluing it to the back and wrapping it around. Now, with the shape being kind of unique, it didn't want to wrap super tight, so I'm just kind of getting it the best I can, and then I'll go back and kind of glue my different layers of burlap together to make it look not so loose. So basically, I want to cover the sign and any of the popsicle sticks that you could see. I cut it, glue it to the back, and also kind of glue it shut along the bottom. And then I'm going to go back and just trim the bottom just to kind of make it look straighter here at the bottom and not kind of a hot mess there. Now, again, the layers were a little bit loose, so I want to glue them. I'm just going to use some tacky glue from Dollar Tree. I thought this would work better than hot glue because the hot glue, you can kind of see it through, you know, burlap sometimes when you use it. So I just do a bead of tacky glue underneath each burlap seam and glue that to the piece before it. And that just kind of made it look a little bit better. Now, I saw a palm tree online that kind of inspired me to make this. I kind of wanted to do my own version of this. And a lot of the ones that I've seen had a lot of shells on the trunk of the tree, but I kind of like the simplicity of just the burlap on the trunk of the tree. So I'm going to leave it like that. Now, for the palm fronds, I wanted something that I could cut that's flexible, that, you know, is going to have a little bit of structure. So I thought one of these placemats from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. Now, mine is green. It doesn't matter what color yours is because you're probably not going to be able to see it. So I just start out by cutting it in half. I wanted this circular shape because I thought I could get nice like arching leaves coming down the sides of the palm tree. So I just cut 3 rows out from that because I don't want it to be super wide. And I do that for both sides. What I want to do is have like enough structure to do like 4 leaves for the palm tree, like, you know, 2 on each side. So then I cut each one of those in half, and it leaves me with these 4 pieces. You know, with it being green like that, it kind of already looks like a palm tree, right? But we're going to take this to a whole another level. Don't worry. So I like it, but I kind of wanted the like ends of the palm fronds to be a little bit more pointed. And so instead of 3, I'm going to kind of make it like 1 row at the tip. So I just kind of cut that gradually up, making it skinnier. That way my palm frond that I'm going to make on there will have like a skinnier tip, like a palm frond would. So I just go ahead and do that on all 4 of these pieces. I think 4 is definitely enough because we're going to kind of build this out. We want plenty of room for our palm fronds that we're going to build on here. So I think that's going to work. Now to build the palm fronds, what am I going to use? I'm going to use a luau skirt. So this is the adult luau skirt from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter if you use the adult or the child one. It's just a great source of raffia from the Dollar Tree. And you can usually like take advantage of the fact that it's like tied to a string like that. The pieces are a little too long for what I need it to be. So the little knots on the end really don't do me any good here. But this first palm frond was kind of an experiment because I'd never made one before, so I didn't really know what I'm doing. But by the time I get to the second one, I was a pro with this. So I want like pieces of the grass skirt or raffia to be sticking out on the sides like that. On both sides, you know, kind of like a palm frond. Now, I was starting doing it, gluing it, cutting it like that. And I kind of wanted it to be more like leaning forward than that. Like, they're a little too straight, that first row, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it and kind of keep building from there. But I do want it to kind of be angled down a little bit because that's kind of how palm fronds hang. So the next piece, I just kind of overlap, kind of getting a more down direction on those. And I kind of do the same strategy where I'm just gluing a bundle at a time and trimming it down to size. Now, I was thinking there has to be an easier way to do this. What if I do both sides at once? So what I did is I cut like a bundle that's twice as long, and then I just glued it in the middle like that, and then kind of bending it down so that both sides are kind of like veering down like a palm frond. And I think that's going to work a lot better like that. Now, since I'd already started at the top, only doing one side, I do kind of have to go back and like fill in the area that didn't have anything just by cutting a bundle down to size and hot gluing that to the placemat. And you can already kind of see that like palm frond feel that we're going to get from this. This project turned out so beautiful. Haven't decided where I'm going to display it yet, but I love it. It is definitely a work of art. So I just finished all the way down, and then my camera died, but all I did was trim off the little bit of fabric that I still had at the end. And it's got this nice palm frond shape. I'm going to go in and trim it down, kind of give it more of the shape of a palm frond. And then I don't want it to look like super perfect. I want it to kind of look jagged, and like all of the palm fronds are like a little bit different lengths. So I do go back and kind of cut it separately, you know, just to make it look like separate lengths. I also secure some of them down a little bit just to make sure that I really don't want any of the green showing. So I just trim down a little bit more here at the end. And I think that one is ready to go. Now, I do plan to put rope down the center, so you don't have to worry if you have like a lot of hot glue there in the middle. But I think I'll wait until I get all 4 of my palm fronds done before I add the rope. I think that would just be easier. So I told you I was a pro by this point, so I'm just cutting my bundles double length and then cutting multiple at once. So I had this huge pile of palm fronds and gluing them down. Now, that might be a little bit too much to do at once because you do kind of want that angle. So I kind of split that in half. And just do a bead of hot glue down the center of the palm frond. And I'm kind of bending them, as you can see, so they'll kind of fall down. But I'm definitely doing more at a time than I did before. And definitely doing both sides at the same time is the way to do it, because this is kind of a time-consuming process. So you're going to want to try to speed it up as much as you can. So I just keep doing the same thing. I take like 3 or 4 of the little bundles off of the grass skirt and cut them all at once. I'm trimming the excess fabric at the end and finishing that off with a few more pieces of the grass skirt. And then, like I did before, I just kind of cut it down into that palm leaf shape. And then I go back and trim it a little bit just to give it some fun jagged edges. Now, you've watched me make 2 of these, and I have 2 more to make, but I think you've got the gist. So what I do is I'm going to take these, trim them down before, which makes it a little bit easier, just making them a little bit shorter. But I'm going to take both of these and do the same thing to them that I did on the other 2. And this is how they turned out. So we have 4 of the little raffia palm fronds. And don't they look really cool? I'm loving them. So I kind of want to arrange them not super symmetrical. So I'm going to make this one kind of the highest one. And I just attach it to the burlap sign with a little bit of hot glue. I think it has like enough structure to stand up on its own with that placemat under it. This one I'm going to glue down here, kind of slightly overlapping the first one. And then this one is going to go up, but not quite as high as the other side. I don't want it to be symmetrical. And then we'll glue our remaining one down right here. So that's what we have so far. I think it's looking really super cute. This is kind of the structure. I still have the hanger. And everything is kind of standing up all on its own. I was torn about what to use. I thought about using foam board underneath the palm fronds, but I think the placemat worked out perfectly. Now, I told you before that we were going to use rope to go down the center of each one of those. So I'm just using Dollar Tree rope. This is like the thinner brown rope they have at the Dollar Tree. And I just kind of cut it down to size. And we're just going to hot glue down to the center, kind of covering up all the areas that we glued the palm fronds down. It's going to like further secure it too. And it's going to add like just another coastal touch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 4 of our palm fronds. Now for the bottom 2, you could kind of use one piece of rope and go from one to the other. I used 2 pieces, but after I went ahead and put them on, I thought I could have just continued that same rope and went down the other side. So that might be something you might want to try. Or you could do 4 pieces like this. And so we have all of our rope down. I think this provides just another like little texture and a little bit more structure to the piece. And I'm just using my heat gun because you do want to clean up any of the excess hot glue that might be visible. Now I wanted to adorn our palm tree with seashells. So I wanted something like white, tan, something very neutral to go with the color scheme on this. So I picked up 2 bottles of these little shells from the Dollar Tree that are just like a classic shell. They're kind of white with like tan or brown on them, but they're not real patterned or bright or anything. And I start by just gluing 4 to the 4 corners here of our rope. And then I'm going to continue them along each rope all the way down the palm frond and kind of just adorning the palm tree. So I'm doing them kind of with the tip touching the rope is the direction I chose to do them. And I kind of laid them out first so I would know exactly how many would fit. And then just going back and hot gluing those to the raffia, to the little grass skirt, all the way down. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing on all 4 of the palm fronds, laying them out to see how many will fit, and then just hot gluing these on. Now, I said before that I've seen pieces made with like raffia, palm trees made with raffia, and a lot of them use different types of shells to adorn the palm trees, the palm fronds, and that's what I'm doing here, but a lot of them completely cover the the tree part as well with shells, and I think that would look really pretty too. But I kind of liked it with just the shells on the palm frond, so that is what we're gonna do here. But if you decide to make yours with shells on the trunk, you'll have to be sure to log on to my Facebook group and share it with everybody because I would love to see it. Now, where I overlap the leaves, it was a little tight in a few areas, so I do trim that up just a little bit so it's just not sticking out a lot there. And we have all of our little seashells glued to this project. What do you guys think about this DIY? I think it's so fun. Has a great structure. It has a hanger already. It is ready to go to hang in my house, and this is how it turned out. Our little Dollar Tree raffia palm tree. I love it. I love all the different textures. We've got rope, we've got the raffia, we've got seashells, and we've got burlap. The colors, I think, all go really nicely together too. What do you guys think about this DIY? I think it's really fun. Okay, and next DIY, another little Goodwill flip. I got this half price. It's just a little wood sign. So I got it for like $1.50. Sometimes I like to get the thrifted signs when they're on sale, just because they're a little bit sturdier, but you could totally do this with a Dollar Tree sign as well. I just wanted a little rectangular sign that I could kind of sit on its side. This one had all of that writing all over it, so I'm just going over it with a couple coats of ivory chalk paint to mask that writing. 3 coats is probably going to be necessary to cover that all up. And I'll have like a blank canvas to craft with. I wanted to make a little like shark sign with this, and it actually turned out really sweet. Okay, maybe 4 coats. That looks pretty good. And I want it to look like wood, but I want to stencil out a shark first. Now, these were the only shark stickers that I could find at the Dollar Tree. Yeah, they are like baby shark, and so they are a little cartoonish, but I think we might be able to make it work. I just wanted to kind of show you how you could use these little wall stickers from the Dollar Tree to make your own stencils. So I picked out this big guy, and he's just the perfect size for this size sign. I'm just going to lay him down. He is just going to be kind of like a reverse stencil to the Antique Wax by Waverly. So I'm just working in one direction, using a chunky brush, and giving my little sign a faux wood grain. So easy to do this when you have a nice ivory background like that. I wipe off any excess with a baby wipe, and this has edges on it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on all 4 sides, giving that faux wood finish. And sometimes it does take a few minutes for that to dry before you want to touch it or anything, because it will smear a little bit. I'm going to speed mine up with my heat gun, and then we can remove our little stencil and see if it worked. And it did a great job. Now, it is a little cartoony shaped from what I wanted, so I am going to touch it up a little bit. But I'm going to give it a light distress first with some Antique Wax by Waverly to kind of give it that distressed wood effect too. And then I also kind of just go over the tip of it a little bit to try to make the nose like not so pointy and kind of make the fins a little bit more pointy. But it would be cute if you left it as is too. This was just me being extra. And I found didn't work the best on the fins. I keep trying though. I think it just needs maybe a little bit more time to dry before I try to wipe it off. but I just go over it with a couple coats until I'm happy with it. The existing shape would have been fine too. I was just kind of going for kind of a vision of a little rustic shark that I had in my head. And it's okay if the wood is darker in some places than others. It's going to make it look a little bit more rustic. So I just use a tiny brush, kind of going all around. Now I'm going back with my original color in ivory and distressing all over because I just wanted a very rustic little shark. And it definitely lightens up any of the areas that I might have gotten too dark. And I just keep distressing it until I'm happy with it. And I think that looks pretty good. Kind of covers up some of the imperfections of where I tried to change the shape a little bit of the shark. And a little bit more distressing on the shark just to brighten him up to make sure he stands out. I wanted this just to be a very rustic shark, and so he's not going to have a lot of details. He does have one really cool detail that I add here at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and distress all the sides with the ivory as well to make it look like, you know, the same as the distressed on the front. So there's our little rustic shark so far. I do go in with like a brown marker and try to draw on like a little bit of a mouth. My first marker didn't want to work too good, so I'm kind of using a brown Sharpie that worked a little bit better on top of that paint. Because I just wanted to give a few details, right? So I'm going to give it some little shark teeth for fun with just like a fine-tipped white paint pen to make it look a little bit more like a shark, right? And then I wanted to give it an eye, but I wanted to give it a really rustic eye. So we're just going to use a screw. Now, this was a rather thick sign, so I can just screw a screw I just had laying around in for the eye. This one was like a black screw, but I can kind of update the color on that a little bit once I get it all the way in. And I just do that with the brown Sharpie, kind of make it go with the vibe, kind of make it look like a rusty screw. And I think that looks really cute together. I'm going to update the teeth a little bit with a little bit more white paint to make them pop against that Antique Wax by Waverly. And then I thought maybe it might need a few gill slits because, hey, it is a shark, right? So using that same brown Sharpie, I'm just going to do like 5 little gill slits just for fun. And again, you do have to make sure you get it good and dry before you touch it. That Antique Wax by Waverly for sure. But there's our little rustic shark. I love it. I think he's so fun. And here is the final reveal of our little rustic shark DIY made with one of those little shark wall decals from the Dollar Tree and just a thrifted sign. Adorable. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do a little bit better here on YouTube. Okay, up next, let's DIY a sea turtle. I'm going to start with 2 of these shelves from the Dollar Tree. I really love these. They're nice and thick. You can put them together and make whatever sign you need. For some reason, this one sign had tape on the bottom. I really don't know why, but it was just tape, so it was no big deal. And I can just leave that part on the back. So just going to peel that off. I will go ahead and save the string from these to make a hanger, but basically that's all I need from that. Now, I like these signs because you can just join them together. I am going to go ahead and give it a quick sand. This one was a little bit rough, but otherwise, I think they are ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is stain this one. I'm using Antique Wax by Waverly, and I'm just going all over with a very thin coat of that. Look at that beautiful wood grain in the top one. They're not all the same. Obviously, the bottom one doesn't really have that same wood grain, but look how pretty that is. I just wipe off the excess with a baby wipe. I just want a light, like medium stain, and Antique Wax by Waverly has got to be the fastest way to stain wood. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do a bead of hot glue right here along the edge of the first sign and put that flush up against this one. One reason I like these little shelves so much is there's no bowing, which you encounter a lot with the thinner Dollar Tree signs. And whenever I see these, I pick up a stack of them. They're my favorite. Now I'm going to make this a vertical sign, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of sketch out what I want here. I'm just using a white paint pen because I wanted something to kind of show up. And I'm kind of doing a dot on all four sides. I want to do a sea turtle shell. So I'm going to do just like, you know, kind of like the top of a circle here for the top part of the shell. And then I'm going to make it fairly easy sea turtle shape. Instead of like giving it like a separate tail, I'm just going to make the shell kind of come down into a point. And you can just kind of freehand that on there. You can always use a stencil if you want to, but I'm going to show you kind of a lot of ideas today where you can kind of take things step by step. You really don't need a stencil. You can do it in half the time of trying to create something like that. So I think that looks pretty good. Now, sea turtle flippers are so easy. They just kind of go back, a little triangular. I made some small like flippers on the back, and I'm going to do some like fairly big ones here on the sides. And they're like just kind of logically where you would think those would be. And then the only other thing you have left is a little sea turtle head, and that's just so easy. Just kind of a circle with a neck there. And we have the layout for our rope sea turtle. Now I want like the flippers and the shell to be this really pretty color. This is acrylic paint, apple barrel. I think it's called Cloudless. Yeah, Cloudless. And I love it. It's one of my favorite colors. I get it at Walmart. And I'm just using a tiny brush from Dollar Tree and just taking it kind of step by step. Don't be afraid to freehand a project like this. You can totally do it, I swear. I am no artist by any means. And I just went ahead and painted all of the flippers blue. We're also going to do the little sea turtle head in blue. And then I'm going to use that same small brush just to kind of keep in line and go around where I kind of sketched out the seashell. What I wanted to do with this DIY was to do a rope art DIY, but I wanted to have a blue sea turtle underneath of it. There's so many rope art DIYs that people make and sell online. There's so many ideas, but I'm going to have a couple of them today, and I really hope that you enjoy them. This sea turtle one turned out really cute. So I'm just kind of going over it, you know, with a second coat if I need it, just to kind of cover up the stain a little bit, since we stained the entire back of it, just to kind of make it, you know, fairly solid. I don't really want any paint in between the two signs, so it's kind of good to clean that part out if you can. I just use my Cricut weeder. And we have our sea turtle. Now, I was getting ready to decorate my sea turtle, and then I was like, you know what, there's really nothing over in this corner, and so I think it would be really cool to do like sort of a background. So I'm just gonna do a very simple coral, and I want to show you how easy it is to do a coral. You just make a little line, make little branches off of it. You can have those branches branch off into 2 or 3. It's so easy. I'm just sketching it on freehand with a white paint pen. I will go over that with like an ivory color just to make it look a little bit nicer, but it could not be any easier. The first time that I ever painted coral like this was I freehanded like giant corals on the corner of my dining room table back when we lived on the island. And it was so easy to do because it's so forgiving. You can't really mess it up at all. You just kind of do what you think looks right. And I painted those all in, just going all over them now with some ivory acrylic and a little tiny brush, and just kind of following what I sketched out. My son said, nice oculina coral, because that's what kind of coral we have around here. He's like, but they don't grow like that. I'm like, hey, I was going for ivory because I liked ivory. But he did give me a good tip on decorating the sea turtle. He was like, don't do a loggerhead. Everybody does loggerheads. Do a leatherback sea turtle, the giant sea turtles that we have around here. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. They have 5 like vertical lines that run down their shell. So I just kind of sketched that out with a white paint pen. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do his idea because I don't have an ivory paint pen. But I just used a tiny brush and some ivory acrylic to go over those lines. And they don't have to be perfect. Actually, I think they look a little bit better when they're kind of imperfect. Just kind of trying to follow that line. And these get to thousands of pounds. These are huge. We were actually lucky enough to see some of these hatching out on the beach one night and heading to the ocean. And they were so small, but they get enormous, the leatherback sea turtles. And so they also have dots all over them. So I just use the end of a tiny paintbrush, dipping it in paint, and then painting with that. It gives me all different shapes and sizes of the dots, and they have the dots all over their shells. They also have little spots on their head and their flippers. So I just kind of randomly did that all over, and I'm so glad he came and gave me that suggestion. He always has the best ideas. You know, he went to a marine biology high school, and now he is going to college in a couple of days, and he is going to study marine biology. And so I don't know what I'm going to do without my little marine biologist in the house to give me tips for my DIYs. But I'm so excited for him. You guys will have to be there for me next week because your girl's going to be going through it with the empty nest. But basically, we're just going to frame out the entire shell of the leatherback sea turtle with Dollar Tree brown rope. This is the thinner one, and I'm just gluing it all the way around. I just started at the tip because that would be a nice, part for it to meet up here at the end, and just gluing it straight to it. You could also use white rope if you wanted. That would be a nice contrast. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece down and glue it around the head. And so, as you can see, there's just not a lot of pieces to this. You had your shell, you have your sea turtle head, and then you have your 4 flippers. So easy. I'm going to do the flippers individually, so I don't have to do that kind of sharp turn with my rope. And so I do the outer side first and then cut down a tinier piece for the inside. Now, my tip when you're cutting the rope short, you want to make sure to hold that part and then cut with your other hand. That way it won't come unwound because the smaller pieces of rope like to come unwound. And so you'll notice that I do that whenever, especially when I'm doing any of the smaller pieces, I just hold the piece that I'm cutting. And we're just going to frame out all of those. Isn't that cute? Now, if you did want to do like a loggerhead sea turtle, you could use like another color of blue, or you could also use ivory, and you're going to want to do those little shapes all over their backs to fill out the shell. That would be really cute too. But I'm glad I switched it up because he's right. I've never done like a leatherback sea turtle DIY, and I think they are fantastic. So one more flipper here. And I think it's so cute. I'm glad I decided to add the coral to it too. I think that gives it a little interesting background. Now, even though I have it, all glued down, I can still kind of burn the fuzzies off. And I did burn that rope before I put it down just to kind of clean it up a little bit because those little brown ropes can be a little bit rough. Now, this is the existing string that came with the sign. And I'm just going to put a little hot glue on the tip, so I can kind of make a stiff surface to feed through the hole here on the top. Just knot it in the front, and then I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. I'm going to leave all the other holes in there. I really don't think they're noticeable with everything else going on this sign. But here it is, our little sea turtle rope art. I know I have so many viewers that love sea turtles, y'all, just like me. So here is another sea turtle. I really hope you enjoy these beach DIYs today. I told you guys I will keep making these beach DIYs year-round if you guys keep watching them. Only one video recently didn't do very good. Last week's did, so more beach DIYs, you guys know. I have my house decorated beach year-round, and I know a lot of you guys do too. Isn't he cute? I'm so glad I decided to do a different type of sea turtle, and I think he's really fun. Okay, the next DIY I wanted to give my crafty beach take on like a rope vase. So I'm going to use one of these skinnier glass vases from the Dollar Tree and Dollar Tree macrame cord. I ended up needing more than one package for this because what we're going to do is we are going to use this macrame cord to weave the entire vase. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece that I can double up. It's going to have like the loop part on the top, and then I want it about 1.5 times the length of the vase so that I have enough. It's okay if it's too long. I just don't want it to be too short. And what I want to do is just pair 2 of those side by side, and it's going to give me 4, right? 4 of the macrame cords going down, and we are going to weave these. So I just folded at the top, hot glue that down right under the lip of it, and then glue another one right next to it, and we have our first set of 4. And then every single time I cut an extra one. So I always have a reference kind of how long I need to cut these. And I'm just going to continue that all the way around. Now, one thing that I did was I made sure that I had an even number of like 2. I wanted to have, 2. So I would have 2 is actually 4, right? So I did that math. But otherwise, I just kept going around thinking it was going to work out. And as you see here in a minute, I probably should have spaced these out or maybe not have my number be 4 because it made it a little bit more complicated in the back because I end up having an extra 4. So I will show you what I mean. But for now, I am just folding those all in half and hot gluing those to the top. What I want to do is bring those down the side of my vase. And then also I'm going to have 4 of the macrame cords going horizontally across the vase, and we are going to weave it. Now, this project was really fun to do. I think it was easy, but it was time consuming. And so if you like doing macrame or anything like that, you are going to enjoy this DIY. You're going to have to pay attention where you're at though, because it's easy to kind of lose track. So I'm going to cut another piece of macrame cord about 1.5 times the width of the jar. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut down 5 pieces so I have an extra. And then we are going to start the weaving. So I just started right here. I went down about like 1 inch and I glued 4 of them going horizontal. And I really want to make sure those stay down so I can kind of pull it on that. And I'm going to weave those underneath our first set of 4. So I'm just kind of like going through that, and then I'm going to weave it under the next set of 4. And then we're going to continue that weaving all the way around. Now I'm being very careful that I'm pulling the 4 down flat and like none of them are like on top of the next one. That's going to make it not lay flat. I want it to be woven kind of like you would weave like a ribbon or something like that. So I want to keep the 4 macrame cords flat. And I do that all the way around to the back, crossing my fingers that this was going to work out, and it didn't. I had an extra 4. So you might want to space yours out a little bit and use 2 sets less, 4 less. That would work, or you could do different math. Now, since I've already woven it and I really wanted 4x4, I'm just going to have the back be different, and I'm going to go 3, 2, 3, just because I kind of have to. So I went under 3, over 2, and then I'll have another over 3 here. And you won't be able to notice that different size because I'm going to make that the back of my vase, if that makes any sense. So I was smart enough to think that it was going to be even, but I guess I should have counted them. It was kind of hard because I didn't really know how many I was going to need. But I'm going to go ahead and start my next row of weaving. And this time I'm going to alternate which ones we do, right? So if I went under before, then I go over this time. And so it's woven. And again, I want to make sure now that my macrame cord's going down, my macrame cord's going across, everything is laying flat and looking good. And I just continue that around the vase, trying to keep it fairly level. As you can tell, I spaced it down a little bit from the row that I did before, so you will be able to see a little bit of glass peeking through here and there, but pretty much most of the vase ends up covered with this. And I was trying to think of a really creative way that I could use rope for a Dollar Tree vase that looked really coastal, but something more creative than just wrapping it in rope. That's probably been done a million times, and so I wanted to do something a little bit more unique. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down and cut it. I probably shouldn't have glued it down yet because I hadn't put it over this one yet, but that was okay. I just peeled it off and kind of fixed my error there. And again, I have to remember that 323 on the back. It's a little bit more confusing than the 4. That's how far one package of macrame cord lasted me. So I'm going to go ahead and open another package. They come in the rolls, but they also kind of come in the package where they're all kind of gathered up together. But luckily, they are exactly the same. So I think that's going to work. And I'm going to start in the same place here in the back, hot gluing that down and incorporating my 232 back there. But then I'm just going to weave opposite of the row above it. And this is where I was kind of like, don't really lose track of what you're doing, because if you go under when you're supposed to go over, you will kind of get lost here. But just kind of take your time. Make sure all of your macrame cords are laying flat. Nothing's overlapping. And glue and cut on the back. I noticed that if I hot glued it down, the back row there, I can kind of keep it in place a little bit, but otherwise I'm trying not to hot glue anything to each other, so everything's kind of woven, and if things need to be adjusted to be straight later on, I can do that. So this is row number 4. I'm doing it opposite of row number 3 there, and just weaving it through. And once you kind of get a handle on it, and your cords get a little bit shorter like they are here at the end, it gets a little bit easier, I promise. And so I think we have room for like maybe 2 more rows. And then I'm going to kind of have a rough bottom, and I don't really like the loops at the top either. So I'll show you how I go in to kind of finish that a little bit and make that look more finished. But we have a little bit more weaving here to do. And I love this macrame cord. You guys have been seeing me craft with this all the time. I think it is so great for coastal. I kind of got lost right there. And there's so many options you can do with it. It's like the same color of the Dollar Tree white nautical rope. And I'm really glad they started creating this. Now, if they would only do like the brown rope in this size that I usually have to buy at Walmart, I would be really happy. So Dollar Tree, if you're listening, we want some thinner brown rope, but thicker than your jute cord. And we are just going to keep weaving here and finish off the bottom of this DIY. Now, I did make my cords going down plenty long, as you can see. And now it's just going to be a matter of trimming that down. I'm just going to kind of cut it flush here with the bottom of the vase. Kind of pulling everything tight so everything kind of stays straight. And that is what we have so far. Beautiful, like woven rope design. I absolutely love how this vase turned out. It's so pretty. It's like the prettiest vase I think I've ever made. So for the top and bottom, I told you it matched the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. So we might as well just go ahead and use that to finish off the top and the bottom. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start here at the bottom. I kind of glued the tip to kind of make sure that it kind of like all stays together. I wanted to unravel a little bit down there. And I just want to kind of seal up all of the, loose edges of the rope and make it look finished down there. It's going to make it stick out a little bit down there, but I really kind of like the look of the 2 ropes together. And then we're going to do the same thing at the top of the vase with the Dollar Tree white rope, just wrapping that around. And tight. Now, since I made a vase, we're going to have to go ahead and decorate it as well. But I wanted to give you a view of how it turned out. Isn't it fantastic? I really love the woven cord design. Now, to fill it with some Dollar Tree greenery, I have a couple of the Seahorse Shore Living Coastal Picks. I found those like not too long ago, a full box of those at a store. I was so excited. I'm going to fill my vase with some sand. I have two of the Seahorse picks. These are a little bit more greener than the other Seahorse picks, so I wanted green because I also wanted to do some Dollar Tree lamb's ear. Now, I want one seahorse to be kind of higher than the other, so they'll be complementary. So I made sure to put lots of sand in there, so one can be lower and one can be taller. The stems are not super long on those. And then I'm also going to use two of the long Dollar Tree lamb's ear. So excited that Dollar Tree got lamb's ear in. I use it year-round. It goes with everything, and I really think it goes with beach coastal decor. I love the shade of the green fuzzy leaves on these. And I'm just going to kind of do one shorter, one taller. This is a pretty skinny vase, so it's not going to take a whole lot to fill it up. I was going to put some blue flowers in there, but I thought seahorse would be even cuter. So I'm just going to kind of shorten these as needed because these were pretty long. Kind of do a shorter one in the front and then a longer one in the back. And I have no idea where my floral scissors are, but we managed. And this is how it turned out. Our little macrame woven vase filled with Dollar Tree greenery, the lamb's ear, and those adorable seahorses. I just love them. They're so cute. And check out our little rope vase. I think it turned out so fun. What do you guys think about this DIY? We wanted to do something a little bit different. It probably was a little bit more challenging than I kind of knew it was going to be challenging, but look how cute it turned out. Isn't that beautiful? Now up next, I'm going to show you how I made some beach Scrabble signs. Okay, check out these little white signs. These are the little whiteboard signs that are kind of newer at the Dollar Tree. I picked up 5 of those. And have you seen these? These were in the Crafter's Square. They're like these monogram letters that have like wood beads on them. Now, originally when I saw them, I wanted to spell out the word bee. There was a brand new box of these and it only had one E because my last video was my bee video from last week. And I said, well, if I can't do bee, can I do my like a favorite word, beach? So I went through my box and I found all of the letters to spell out beach. These are great like wood letters, something that normally you don't see at the Dollar Tree. So once I cut the wood beads off of them, they are perfect for crafting with. Now, I didn't really want mine to be black. It's just not my vibe. So I mixed some Caribbean blue with some ivory to give me a very light blue. And I think there's a Walmart color, Apple Barrel Cloudless is basically this color, which my son and I went to Walmart recently and bought a whole bag of paints because he was painting ceiling tiles for his school because he was a senior and graduated. And the teachers asked him to paint ceiling tiles. Oh, they turned out so cool. And we bought a whole bag of paint and totally did not make it home with them. We still have not found the paint. And I bought this color. But since I'm covering up the black, I do have to go over it with a couple of coats to kind of mask that, to get that light beachy blue color. And you can also see that there was black along the sides because it is kind of a thick letter. And so I too use a tiny brush and I go around all the edges inside and outside and paint everything blue. What I want to do is I want to make like 5 individual signs and do some like giant like Scrabble tiles with these letters. I think the font is perfect for that. And so, I like to distress. So I'm just going to distress it very lightly with a chunky brush and some ivory acrylic paint to give me that coastal feel. Now, I didn't realize that these signs were different. Some of them have 3, some of them have 2, but that's okay. We'll just kind of alternate. We'll go 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So we have 5 signs. Now, you could also do this with a Dollar Tree long sign and make a long sign out of these letters. That would be really cute as well. I'm going to do like a shelf sitter with these because these are nice chunky signs. And so I'm going to start by just hot gluing the letter on. So there is our little B Scrabble tile letter. And Dollar Tree has great nails. They have some really short ones. And I thought that would be a really great way to secure the letter on there and fill up the hole from the wood beads. And so I'm going to do that on all of them because I think it looks a little bit more coastal. I thought about using like some of the velvet thumbtacks, but I didn't really want anything to take away from the cute letters. And so I just glue all the different letters of beach to their respective signs, just laying them next to each other so that I can kind of get it all lined up. Everything is centered. And then nailing a small nail into each one. Now I want to do like the values like a Scrabble tile would have. So of course I had to look them up. The B was 3. The E and the A were both 1. The C was a 3 and the H was a 4. And I'm just using a blue Sharpie. I just thought it would be easier to write with, but you could totally use a paint pen or your Cricut for this. And I'm just going back over with another coat of Sharpie just to kind of make those stand out. Now, I do distress them slightly with a little bit of ivory too, just to kind of blend it in, kind of make it go with everything else. Now, I'm not done with this. I thought we could use some of these beautiful new chipboard decor pieces from Dollar Tree. I love these. I was so excited to find these the other day at my Dollar Tree. They are new. And I want to pick out like different things that are blue. So there's like a blue mermaid. This starfish has a lot of blue on it. That way I can use the existing colors and I don't even have to paint these. The seahorse has some blue on it as well. In this package, they have a little blue dolphin. And in this one, they had like a blue seashell. So I have like 5 different shapes. Everything has a little bit of blue in it. And then I just wanted to decorate like the tiles and the letters with these. And so I decided to kind of decorate the letter itself by just going like down, up, all the way across. So I do like a little shell here at the bottom of the B. And I just hot glue that in place. That one was a little tricky to hot glue down because there's not a lot of closed spaces to put the hot glue. So I did have to clean that one up a little bit, but the rest of them didn't really have that problem. Here's our little blue dolphin. We're going to decorate like our letter E here. And this was so much fun. How cute are these? I got these at that big Dollar Tree that's in a Walgreens in a couple towns over. I was there returning college textbooks for my son. I'm so glad I stopped because I haven't seen these in my smaller stores yet, but hopefully they get them because they're adorable. But we have our shell, dolphin, mermaid, starfish, and a seahorse. Now, I wanted to decorate them a little bit more, and this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree is my go-to for like small fishing net. Gives you that fishing net look, so easy, and it's a lot smaller than the Dollar Tree fishing line. Now, I do want to decorate my tiles with these, but I don't want to go too crazy, so I'm only going to do about half of them with net. The rest of them I'll leave without. And I'm just going to secure that mesh ribbon to the back, draping it over a corner like that. And I think that looks really coastal and fun. So we're going to do the same thing here with A. We skipped E, and I'm kind of doing the opposite corner, cutting a piece down and just simply hot gluing that to it. Kind of tight, kind of draping on that. And I think this really gave them that last little beachy touch that I was looking for. So I skip another letter and doing the left side again, we're going to do the same thing that we did. We decorated the letter B. And I think these little beach-themed Scrabble tile signs turned out so cute. What do you guys think about these? The pieces are adorable. I can't wait to make more things with those little shapes. And I love that I don't even have to paint them. So this is how they turned out. I think they look so fun. And you don't really even notice that my signs were a little bit different. I like the white sign for the coastal feel. And those have been readily available, those little signs at all of my stores. They're nice, chunky, and they stand up all on their own like that. Aren't they cute? And they really make a nice large display. Okay, up next, let's do sea turtles again. I thought we would make just a fun sign with some of this craft board from the Dollar Tree. This is my favorite size one they have. I feel like the smaller pieces at Crafter Square are not a good value, but this one is fine because it's kind of a bigger piece and you can make a standalone piece like this with it. Now, I always like to take the little sawtooth hangers off of the canvases that I reuse from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm just going to hammer that into the back. So I have a hanger, and I want to do that first because this is going to have lots of stuff on it and I don't want to mess it up later. Now I want to bring out that beautiful wood grain. So I put a thin coat of Antique Wax by Waverly on there. And then I follow that up with a baby wipe, just kind of scrubbing off as much as I can, because even though I want a stain on there, I want a very light stain. And we're going to do just a very fun, easy beach scene on here. I'm going to leave the sky like the stain part, but I thought we would do like, you know, just different quadrants like this, like you would do kind of like a mountain painting. So I'm just using acrylic paint. This is the color Caribbean Blue. And I just kind of do one corner to kind of look like water. Now I did stain it first, so I did have to go over it with a couple of coats to get like bright blue. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, I did want it to be a little bit more level, maybe. So I did kind of add like an extra row here, just to the top to level that out. Because from the other side, what we're going to do is kind of make it look like there's sand over there, like you're at the beach. Now, I did kind of want it to kind of have like a little bit of texture, some white caps. So I go in with a small brush and some ivory paint and do a slight distress. And kind of distressing that with a baby wipe as well, just to give a little bit of texture to our ocean waves or to our water. And then we're using school glue on the other side. So instead of paint, I kind of want to do the same thing, but from the other direction, overlapping the water to form a little beach. Now, at first I was going to paint this to like look like sand, but I was like, why would I do that when I could just use real sand, right? And so this is some of the tan sand from Dollar Tree. And I just sprinkle that over right where I put the school glue. Whenever I use sand for DIYs, I always like to use school glue on the bottom and sprinkle it down. And then I like to use spray glue on top to kind of give me some more security. And I like this multi-purpose like aerosol glue that they have at the Dollar Tree. I've been having trouble finding this there lately, but any kind of spray glue is going to do. Now, at this point, it's kind of like really wet, so I do try to give it a nice dry with my heat gun. And there was like a little area at the bottom here that you could still see a little bit of blue shining through from the overlap. So I did try to patch that in with a little bit more sand and a little bit more glue. Now, it was bothering me because I could kind of still see it, and I totally didn't have any paint that was the color of sand, so we're going to have to make it. I mixed brown and ivory and yellow together, and I got pretty close, and I'm just going to kind of touch up the bottom, just where you could kind of see the blue. I didn't want that to show in the final project. So that looks better to me. Now I need to decorate our little beach, and I thought we could make it look like little like sea turtles, like returning to the sea. Now, these are actually from the toy aisle. These are the little grow creatures, and I love using these for DIYs because they have lots of different ocean creatures. What I want out of this one is one of the sea turtles. As you can see, there's also a really cool little crab in there, and they're just the right size for miniature or home decor. Now, I didn't really want a bright project, that crab. I'll probably save that for the 4th of July. But I did want it to look like I had like some sea turtles, like returning out to the ocean, you know, from hatching. And so I have 2 of them. As you can see, they have stingrays, starfish. They have all kinds of cool little grow creatures. And so don't be afraid to check there, especially for some coastal decor items. I always pick up a lot of great things in the toy aisle. Now, they are kind of black, and, you know, that doesn't really look like sea turtles to me that much. I want mine to be a little bit greener, so I'm using some acrylic paint. I think this is the color leaf green or leafy green, and I just go all over, and then I kind of wipe off the excess with a baby wipe, kind of going back and forth. That way, I still get some of the dark color shining through, but we're going to have kind of a multicolored little guy instead of just a black sea turtle. But I have left these black before when I've done like coastal Halloween DIYs on here because it kind of made them look scarier. And then I also use a little bit of antique wax by Waverly just to add another little color texture to our 2 little sea turtles. And then we can add these to the sand. I just want to make a simple, fun little beach scene with sea turtles in mind. Now, if you've ever tried gluing onto sand, you know it's not easy. I do a big glob of hot glue and kind of try to push that down into the sign, but I can't say that this was super dry. And I found that it was really only gluing to the sand and not the sign at all. So when I pull it up, I kind of have a hole, but that's okay. I'll just peel this off the turtle and glue this directly to it. That's probably not the best strategy though, because it did kind of mess up my sand a little bit there. So I'll be smarter on the next little sea turtle. And what I'm going to do is just use like one of those little spatulas from those Cricut spatulas from the Dollar Tree and just kind of carve out a small little hole so that I have a place to glue. And that way the hole can be the size that I need it to be, smaller than the sea turtle. I put hot glue in there and then just push that down. And that one worked way better. I found that that sea turtle kind of sunk into the sand a little bit better than the first one too, which I did have to try to go back and touch up a little bit. My hair is totally in that shot. And then I just go back and add a little bit more green to this, just to make them a little bit more green. That looks more like what a sea turtle looks like to me. And I just wanted a little bit of dimension on those, kind of make those look more realistic. I'm not really going to put like anything in the ocean swimming, but you can be creative and do like a fish or something out there. I thought something more abstract, like using a white paint pen to do like 3 little simple like seabirds, like, you know, flying out over the ocean. Just something really simple that's going to go with the color scheme. Now, I love it as is, but I felt like it needed a little bit of framing. And so I'm going to use the thicker white, like 6-foot nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and just do a simple rope frame. I want all of my corners to be rounded. And so I'm actually going to start kind of in the middle of the bottom. And then just using one piece, I'm going to hot glue that all the way around. And this is kind of a thick piece of wood, as you can see, which is one reason why I did the thicker rope. I thought it would do a better job of framing that out. And then I just glue it with a seam on the bottom. Now, normally I do my seams like on the corners. And I don't know, I might like doing it at the corner better because it was a little difficult to make this look decent here at the bottom. But what I like to do is add hot glue, and as it cools, you can kind of mold it and fill it in the best that you can. But we made it work. And that's all there is to it. This was just a simple little fun beach DIY. Lots of character, and I'm never going to turn down the excuse to make like a sea turtle DIY because they are one of my favorite ocean creatures. They really look cute on there. I ended up putting this sign in my kitchen. I think this would also be really cute for a bathroom sign. I know a lot of my viewers have coastal themed bathrooms. It's a perfect thing. And up next, this is the seahorse sign they've had the past few years with Shore Living. This year it's a little bit smaller, but you could always flip it over on its back like this and still do this project, I think it would work pretty much the same. I've made these with like driftwood from Target and stuff like that. So I wanted to see if I could do it with items from the Dollar Tree. So in case there's any areas that don't have like driftwood, I want to stain my seahorse, but I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm using Antique Wax by Waverly and a baby wipe, and I'm just going to blend that amount of stain all over, bringing out that beautiful wood grain. And I did decide to work on the back of the sign, so I didn't have to work with do anything about the writing or anything that was on the other side. Now, this is what we're going to use from the Dollar Tree. These are the wood stems, and I thought we could do a fun project, you know, gluing the wood stems on the seahorse vertically like that. So they're going to be sticking out. These things come in all different like widths and lengths. I noticed that when you buy a bag of them at the Dollar Tree, they're usually all about the same. Like they have real skinny ones. They have real like chunky ones. It just kind of depends. And I'm going to kind of need all of them. Like this package right here is some of the skinnier ones. And it's not like, you know, actual driftwood, but I think it's going to give us the appearance of that. Now, the skinny ones came in handy for like the little frilly parts of the seahorse there. And so I just start hot gluing these all over. I'm just kind of trying to put it together a little bit like a puzzle. And I want to alternate like the different depths. Since they are different lengths, they're going to be sticking out different amounts. And I kind of want that variety. And then I kind of go back with the skinny sticks to fill in any of the in-between pieces. Now, this is an easy project, but it's a time-consuming project, which is why I have sped this like way up on rock and roll here. To kind of show you my process putting this together, I'm just kind of following the edge and kind of this piece here with the little sail in the back of the seahorse kind of needs smaller pieces. So I kind of map that out a little bit by gluing those just face down. And that package, they were like big and chunky. See how they're all different? They look like they're all different kinds of trees and stuff like that too, which kind of helps with the driftwood feel. And this is kind of just like a completely different version of the driftwood seahorse that I did before, but I really like it. I think it's really interesting. And it's basically just a seahorse sign from the Dollar Tree, wood stems, and some hot glue. I found that the little tiny ones worked really good for the little snout there of the seahorse. And then we just keep building. I tried to not leave a gap I don't want to leave a gap that's too big, that I won't have anything skinny enough to put in. And so I do kind of think when I'm going around and doing this, but it's just basically like a big puzzle. I just want to cover as much of it as I can. And if there is any areas that I can't cover, I did stain the back. So it's going to kind of, I think, all blend in. I've seen similar seahorse like driftwood DIYs online. Theirs were like pretty much all the same length. These are varying lengths, which I think even adds a little bit more to the character. I do flip it around and fill up any more gaps with some smaller ones. I'm just going to leave mine the existing wood grain. I think that looks very driftwood, but you know, it would be really fun to go in and like you could stain or paint like the ends of them different colors and alternate colors that way if you wanted to make your seahorse like colorful. But I like the look of the wood. What do you guys think about this? The different depths and stuff like that. I think it's really interesting. I think this is probably another like work of art to go with that palm tree that we started out with. I'm really loving it. I did decide to color just one of my stems in with a black Sharpie just to give my little seahorse an eye. About the same point that an eye would be on a little seahorse, but I love it. It was easy to make and really fun, and it already had a hanger on it as well. So basically, once you get them all glued on, you might want to glue off any burn off any hot glue strings you have. But this is how it turned out. Isn't it so cool? If you decide to make this, I would love to see it. And if you decide to get colorful with it, I almost decided to get colorful with it, but it was so cool looking. I didn't want to mess it up. So this is our little driftwood seahorse. I think it's really pretty. What do you guys think about this one? Okay, the next DIY, I thought we could get creative and do a coastal candy dish. So I picked up this little jar with a great sealed lid from Dollar Tree, just from like their kitchen glassware aisle, and some Dollar Tree rope. And I thought we could do like a coastal version. I thought that would be fun. That's something I've never really made before. The only challenging part of this DIY is that tag did not want to come off the bottom. But this is the rope that we're using. This is the thinner white rope. I think it's 11 feet. I get them confused because the white ones and the brown ones are different. But it's the thinner one. And we're going to start right here under the lip of our little dish. And we're going to hot glue the rope directly to it. Now, I thought we could cover the candy dish part with the white nautical rope from Dollar Tree. And then we're also going to cover the lid with another Dollar Tree product. And we're just going to make this really fun and beachy. Now, the inside of the candy jar will still be glass, so you can put candy in there, whatever you want. You could put like M&M stuff in there that doesn't have wrappers. It's still going to work well. It has that nice suction seal lid, so things should stay fresh. And so this was just a really easy DIY because one package of the rope is going to be perfect for this. I kind of continue it right here along the bottom. I did think about stopping when I got to the bottom right here, but I decided to kind of keep going and just finish off the entire package of rope, and it worked out perfectly. Just trying to glue down my loose edges there, and I was hoping it would sit level, and it does. Now it's time to decorate the lid. So I'm going to start just by placing it back in there. That will be easier way to work with it. And we're going to use the white macrame cord from Dollar Tree to do the lid. Now this has like the little knob handle on top, and I just started in the middle and I'm just hot gluing in a spiral. As you can see, I'm using lots of hot glue for this, when before I only used hot glue here and there. And the reason that this required so much hot glue was because you're going to be using that handle to pull the dish off the candy jar. And so you're going to want to make sure you get all these to stay in place. Now, make sure you're kind of looking at both sides. I could only see one side. I kind of had to redo the side there. But that's okay because I really needed to go back in and pretty much hot glue every row of the macrame cord down here just to make a nice sturdy handle. And I'm really glad I decided to decorate the lid too. It really made a big difference in the final product. And as you can see, that white nautical rope and that macrame cord from the Dollar Tree match perfectly. I kind of got this together and I was like, you know what? Kind of looks a little bit like a pumpkin, and this would be a good fall DIY as well. I really hope you guys are enjoying all my fall DIY videos, and I hope you've entered my 20K giveaway, my last video. If you haven't, you might want to go check that out. Giving away 20 Dollar Tree items, and I think I'm going to be doing the drawing on Saturday. Now, to decorate our little candy jar, I'm using one of these little Grow sea turtles from the toy aisle at Dollar Tree, and we're going to paint it that nice cloudless color of blue. These come in like crabs, lobsters, octopus, fish, sea turtles. Always look for them in your toy aisle. I always like to stock up on them. They're perfect little size to craft with. They have a great textured shell, and I don't care if some of that darker color shines through. I just want most of my little sea turtle to be that pretty color of blue. Now, I also kind of had a gap here between my lid and my candy dish, and I thought it would be really pretty to kind of fill that in with a contrasting Dollar Tree rope, the thinner brown rope. And so I just cut a piece long enough to go around the edges, burning off any fuzzies. And then I'm going to glue it here to the side of this lip And I kind of avoided that part before because I thought it would interfere with the function of the candy dish, but it really doesn't. And so this was the perfect size to fill the gap up in between. And so I'm just going around mainly gluing it to like the rope underneath of it all the way around. And I'm going to test out the lid here, make sure everything still works good, and it does. Isn't this cute so far? I really like it. It's definitely a different candy dish than I've ever done before. I just hot glue that little sea turtle to the front of our little rope candy dish. And look how cool that is. I think it turned out really sweet and a really fun DIY that you can have around your house, but you could also use it for storage. You know what? This would be really cute for like bathroom storage too. I know a lot of my viewers have coastal themed bathrooms. You know I have two, and I have coastal themed in every single room except for my son's room. And I love it. I think it turned out so sweet. Isn't that little sea turtle just a really fun little touch to it?
I actually have this in my living room and it's held up really well.
Okay, the next couple DIYs, we're going to make some little shore signs using some of this great nautical burlap from Dollar Tree and some of their little shore living nautical pieces. I really like these little board signs they have at the Dollar Tree now. I'm going to use the white ones, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be covering them with burlap, but I like them because they're chunky and fun. And I want to kind of cover each one with like a different burlap. And these are the shore living like burlaps, the nautical prints. I notice like the nautical ones don't sell quite as fast as the beachy ones, but they're still super cute. This is the anchor design. And so I'm just going to cut a piece of that burlap out a little bit larger than I need for the sign. I want to cover the entire back. And I don't want it to fray or anything like that. So that's why I cut the burlap down a little bit larger. I'm going to do a nice coat of Mod Podge all over the front of our sign. And then it's got the little grooves in there between the little boards, but I'm going to kind of not really do anything much with those. I just lay the little anchor burlap on top. And I thought these different coastal burlaps would make great backgrounds to those little white wall decor signs from the Dollar Tree. So I want this to be secure. So I also do Mod Podge on top of the burlap, making sure it is glued down well. Once I get it good and dry, then I can go in and trim it down to size. I use some super sharp scissors and just try to get as close to the side of the sign as I can. And this worked out really well with no fraying. So maybe this is a secret. I think it was all the Mod Podge on there. Whenever you cut the burlap that has Mod Podge on it that's been dried, you're going to have way less chance of fraying because it does fray. So I thought I would switch it up with the other one. This is another one of those shore living burlaps. This one has like the different blue stripes on it. I was trying to decide whether it looked more coastal, like horizontal or up and down. I decided to kind of go with vertical. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm just going to cut a piece a little larger than our sign. And you could do this with shelf sitters. I'm going to attach that white sailboat and that white anchor to the front, both from the shore living line. I did notice that the sailboat one stood up fine, but the lighthouse one was too heavy. But I am making mine little hanging signs, and so I didn't have to worry about that. But you might want to keep that in mind if you're going to do the anchor one. So just like before, I Mod Podged this piece down, and then I also Mod Podged it on the top and dried the whole thing with my heat gun. And then I can go in and trim off all the excess. I was trying to decide if I was going to do my anchor one on the one with the anchor or kind of switch it up. So I kind of feel out which one looks the best with which. And these little like anchors came in all different colors. I'm just going to go ahead and use white for both of these. We'll kind of coordinate together. A little white anchor and a little white sailboat. I also cut off the rope of the anchor just to make sure that I could attach it to the sign a little bit better and kind of flatter. I decided to kind of switch it up. I kind of like the sailboat on the anchor and then the anchor on the stripes. And we're just going to attach these with hot glue. That's going to kind of seep through the burlap and glue that to that sign in the back. So it's going to be nice and secure. And these were so easy to make. They look great for shore decorations and just using a couple of inexpensive items from the Dollar Tree. The sailboat was like the wall charm. And they had some really cute ones this year. Hopefully you were able to pick some up. Again, I said I was going to make mine hanging. So these are the little sawtooth hangers that we took off those little canvases from our little macrame lighthouse DIY. And I love these because you can just nail these straight in the back and you have a really simple hanger that is also really sturdy. Whenever I hammer on my silicone mat, I feel like I have to hammer really hard. But this is them. Aren't they cute? Two little shore signs.
Now, the charms totally are available this year. They did switch up the kinds of burlap that they have, but really you could use any of them. I love all of the printed burlaps. It's just a fun twist, and it could not be easier to DIY these. Basically, a sign, burlap, and your shape. You're going to get a fun little chunky sign that you can hang. You could kind of use it as a shelf sitter. It would also probably work pretty well on a tier tray, as long as your tier tray was not too small. Now, coming up on the next DIY, we're going to be using a shore living sign. They do switch these up every year too, but I kind of wanted to give it to you as an idea of how easy it is to update the shore living signs to make them look better.
Okay, so this is just a home sign from the shore living line at Dollar Tree. I thought we could try to switch this up, make this a little bit more neutral, and use one of those little garden stakes from the shore living line as well. So I just cut the hanger off, got rid of the beads. Then I thought we'll just pop off this shell on home and we could replace it with the garden stake. Now, I don't know who glued this on, but usually, these things are fairly easy to pop off with a little heat and a spatula. But this one was like glued on everywhere, just as tight as they could get it. And I'm like, come on, I'm going to be taking this apart, right? So I keep working on it, more heat, more leveraging, trying to get that off, trying to save what little paper I can under there. And this is kind of what I end up with, but that's okay because our new seashell we're going to add to that is even larger. So it's going to cover up any mess that's left behind. You could also do this with the little shell, like luau bras that they have from the Dollar Tree. That might work as well. It's about the same size shell, I think. Now, I want the frame to look kind of like driftwood, so I mixed some ivory paint with some antique wax by Waverly, and I'm just painting that teal frame this color because I want to kind of give it, like a soft driftwood feel. So it is kind of a bright color that I had to cover up, so it's definitely going to take more than one coat. I did switch to like a makeup sponge this time. I found it covered a little bit better than the brush since I have so much of that blue to cover up. So I just kind of went over it a couple of times till you really couldn't see the blue through there anymore. I liked the blue. I just didn't want this sign to be quite as colorful as it was, so I thought we would tone it down. Now, again, to make the sign from the Dollar Tree look a little bit more hand-painted or high-end, I just distress it working in one direction with some ivory paint and a chunky brush. And following that up with a baby wipe if I get too much anywhere, but that's going to give me a nice coastal farmhouse distress. Definitely makes it look a little bit more high-end. And this is just a quick little hack where you can take a Dollar Tree sign and just make it look way better, right? So I'm also going to distress my driftwood with the ivory as well to lighten that up and give it a little bit of a faux wood grain as well. Easy peasy. Now, I really didn't want the wood bead hanger on this one. I just want a simple twine. So I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine and feed in from the back, not in the front. And we have a simple little hanger on this. You could always DIY this to sit on a shelf too if you didn't want this to be a hanging sign by adding some wood blocks to the back. So now time to cover up the seashell. Most of the paper I kind of had to rip off because it was kind of a mess under there because it was glued on so well. Now I'm just using a pair of pliers to try to break the little metal stake off the garden stake. Now sometimes these can be quite tricky. On this one I found that if I bent it, most of it came off all on its own. So then just a little rocking back and forth and it popped right off. A little distortion on it, but not too bad. Now, I do have that ivory, so I'm just distressing the shell with that as well, just because it had a little bit more yellow in there than I was really going for. So I just distress it until I'm a little bit happier with it. And I think that is going to look so much better than the little paper shell they had on there before. It's going to give it that 3D vibe sticking out. But again, this is metal, so I'm going to use a combination of like that super glue, a fix-all from the Dollar Tree along the base to try to make it stronger. But I'm also going to use hot glue along the edges of our shell to make it stick on there right away. So just lining that up, and it's a perfect size to cover all of the paper damage from removing the little paper seashell. And you just have to remember that that super glue is going to take a little bit more time to dry than you're used to with hot glue, but hopefully it'll make it a little stronger, keeping the metal attached to the sign. But what do you guys think? I think it looks a lot different. I kind of like the more neutral colors. If you wanted to take it a step further, you could recolor over the letters to make them whatever color you wanted.
But I like these. It kind of gives you a little bit of a nautical feel. And I love updating these Dollar Tree signs. I mean, adding like a 3D component to it really changes the look. Now up next, I'm going to do one of the metal lighthouse DIYs. A lot of you guys have asked for these. They're still kind of available in stores, but not necessarily with the Shore Living line this year.
Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to make a lighthouse like sign. So I'm going to start with one of these galvanized metal lighthouses from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree and some of their macrame cord. They have it in colors now too, which is super exciting. I picked up some blue and some of the white from both from Dollar Tree. Now, if you don't have this little metal galvanized lighthouse and you want to recreate this project, you could always do this with a piece of cardboard. The shape of a lighthouse is pretty simple. You could just trace that out, cut it out, and do the same thing with a piece of cardboard. I think that would work really well too. I'm just starting with the white macrame cord and just wrapping that around that bottom section. And I am like hot gluing, every couple of rows, I start hot gluing that to the galvanized metal just to keep my spacing good and to kind of keep it secure exactly where I wanted it. But I'm not going too crazy with the gluing, just kind of like in the middle, kind of underneath. Once I got a good bit of white, I'm going to keep that line going, but then I'm going to start adding some blue. So this is the only one that I counted. I did a total of, I believe it was 8 rows of blue. And then I kind of just estimated on my white sections because I want to go all the way up with the macrame cord, making it a blue and white striped lighthouse that's going to go on our lighthouse sign. And I love all the textures of the macrame. Once I got enough of the blue, I switched back to my white, which, I had never disconnected to the back. I just kind of left it underneath, kind of like I'm doing now with the blue, so it doesn't get in the way, and then just start wrapping with white again. Now I'm going to kind of ignore the windows and stuff on there. At one point I thought about painting those back on after I get it all wrapped, but I really liked the stripes and the simplicity of it, so I really didn't bother with that. That's another reason why you could totally use cardboard for this. So I count 8 of the blue again, and then just stop that on the back and switch back to the white ones. So you'll notice that there's kind of a pattern on the back where you see me start and stop each color, but I thought it would be easier just to go ahead and leave it connected like that than rather cutting and starting, but you know, it's totally up to you. I'm going to add this to a sign so you won't be able to see the back of it. But you could also do this with like the brown like twine from the Dollar Tree if you didn't want yours to be so colorful. I wanted some like fun blue in this one. And I also picked up this macrame like cord in like bright purple, bright pink. Very fun. I found it at one of my larger Dollar Trees though. So I don't know if all of the Dollar Trees are carrying the colors yet, but I'm a big fan of the white. As you guys see, I've been using it all of the time. I'm definitely going to have to stock up on some more. I'm going to finish it off with a blue section for the top. I also did that little blue bump out part of the lighthouse with blue too. I'm not really counting when I get to these sections, just trying to finish off the whole section with a solid color. So we wrapped the whole thing with Dollar Tree macrame cord. And then I told you I was going to add this to a picture. And I found these great long canvases from the Dollar Tree of a beach scene. I think it's like actually the same beach scene, like kind of cut up a little bit differently. They were nice and long though, which is going to make them perfect for this DIY. And then I thought I could just use some scrap wood to make a really coastal rustic frame for this. This is actually like old wood we had in our garage, and I cut it down into 1 foot portions so that I could use it for DIYs, but it's very similar to the craft wood that you get at the Dollar Tree, so you could totally recreate it with that. I'm just going to do a super rustic, and it worked out perfectly that I cut them down to 1 foot because that's how tall these little canvases are from the Dollar Tree. And if you can't find these canvases, painting an ocean scene, like a really abstract one on a Dollar Tree sign would be pretty easy. And I've done that a couple times in my videos. I'm going to pop out the little hangers on the back of these canvases to save for another DIY today. But what I'm going to do is just attach them together. They are 4 inches wide and 12 inches long. So it's going to be like an 8 by 12. A rather large sign that I need to frame out, but it's the perfect height for the lighthouse because the lighthouse is also 12 inches or 1 foot tall. I just hot glued the canvases together, and that seam in the middle is going to be covered up by my lighthouse, so I don't need to worry about that. And see how these are already the right length, so I'll only have to cut down the top and the bottom piece. And I'm just going to go from one side completely to the other side. I'm not going to miter any corners or anything. It's just going to be a very simple rustic farmhouse frame for this. So I cut those both down to size. And now I'm just going to try to build this around my canvases. And I found those, some of those long skinny ones too, and other ocean scenes that were like sideways too. So that's a fun size, a little bit different from the ones that are square. Now the frame I wanted to look like rustic, like driftwood. So I'm going to use like some ivory color mixed together with some antique wax by Waverly. It gives you that perfect like shore driftwood base. And I am just going to paint all of the surfaces of this because you're going to be able to kind of see the outsides, the insides on these. So I go over all 4 sides of each one. Once I get a coat on there, I wipe it down with a baby wipe so I can kind of still see that wood grain shine through because I don't want to disguise the fact that it's actually made out of real wood. And so I just keep doing that on all 4 sides. Once I get like this perfect like driftwood like base color on there, I do go back and distress it a little bit more with a little bit of antique wax by Waverly just to give it like a coastal farmhouse vibe with like a very light wood grain added to it as well. So that looks pretty good. I got all 4 sides of all 4 pieces stained that color. And then this is the antique wax by Waverly. And I'm just using like one of those little chippy brushes from the Dollar Tree since it's kind of a bigger project. And I distress all 4 sides anywhere you're going to be able to see it, and then blend that in with a baby wipe just to make it look a little bit better. Now it's time to frame this in our canvas. I'm just going to go ahead and put it together around the canvas. So I will make it custom to size because my cuts might not be perfect here, but we're going to make this work. I kind of wanted like friction to kind of keep it in there. I'm going to start off with a little dot of hot glue on all four corners to get me started, but that is not strong enough at all to build this like rustic frame. I am going to have to go back with some nails, but I want the canvas to sit in the back of it and it to be a boxy little frame like this that can sit up on its own to display that really cute little lighthouse that we wrapped with macrame cord. So I'm going to use just some finishing nails that I had in my garage, something long enough to go through that wood because it was fairly chunky and thick. And I did like 1 or 2 finishing nails in each corner and just nail those straight down into the side pieces. Gonna flip it over and do the other side. The reason I said 1 to 2 is because some of them, you know, my cutting wasn't perfect for because I just used like the 12-foot pieces that I had. And I wanted it to look as tight as possible. So sometimes you might need to put like 1 in the front and 1 in the back. We're going for rustic on this, so doesn't have to look perfect, but I think it looks fairly decent. I don't want this to like wiggle around my canvas in there, so I do use like a bead of hot glue all along the back just to help secure that in place. And now we can add our lighthouse with this beautiful like beach background. And it's going to be kind of a 3D effect since it's got like such a chunky little frame that I'm going to have room to add rocks and stuff like that as well to make it look super coastal and fun. So there's our 2 canvases together. Right now they look a little bit crazy, but again, the lighthouse covers that seam completely and fits in there perfectly. I love the blue and white stripes. They're so bright and pretty. I'm going to put a good amount of hot glue on the back of our little macrame lighthouse and just glue that to the canvases. Since like the little metal lighthouse was so skinny, I still have plenty of room there on that bottom lip of the frame. And I thought we could use some of these little stones from the Dollar Tree to decorate. I really like these stones because they're like all different shapes, sizes, colors. They really remind me of a rocky shore where you could find a lighthouse. And this one's going to have a beach too, you know, like some of our Florida lighthouses down here on the beach. So I just start like kind of alternating color, shapes, and sizes and just gluing those either to the canvas or to the frame. And I kind of want them, I don't want them to look real symmetrical. I just want to cover most of the surface there at the bottom, maybe pile them up a little bit larger on one side and just keep adding them until I'm happy with them. And that part was really fun. I think it definitely adds to like the coastal, you know, shore touch. And again, I thought about adding windows to that, but I really like the simplicity of the stripe. So we're just going to leave the stripe pattern on our little lighthouse. And this is how it turned out. Again, it's a really large piece. I really liked using the little Dollar Tree beach canvases as a background. But look how cute the little macrame lighthouse turned out. What a fun sign. It sits on its own, or you could always hang this on the wall as well.
And I know a lot of you guys have requested what to do with those, so here's an idea for you.
Okay, next DIY, I got one of these photo hangers from the Dollar Tree, and I thought it'd be really fun to kind of make a beach mobile with these little beach creatures that they had from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. These are the little ornaments. And so I thought we could just do like sea creature. So I'm going to do like 2 sea turtles and 2 seahorses. Those are my favorites, the sea turtles and the seahorses, and a starfish. I thought 5 would probably be full enough. even though this photo hanger from the Dollar Tree has 7 cords hanging on it. And some of mine were a little bit discolored anyway, so I'm just going to get rid of the ones that are a little bit discolored and just have 5. I can always shorten that one in the middle. It also comes with these really cute little clothespins that I'll have to save for another project because they're nice and tiny and colorful. Now, I wanted to do all these sea creatures, but I wanted to do them in like a ombre blue, like each one a slightly different color of blue. So to start with the seahorses, we are using, this is the cloudless color from Apple Barrel from Walmart. And I'm just using a makeup sponge and doing a coat of that light blue. For the sea turtles, we're doing a Caribbean blue color. As you can see, it's a little bit bluer on both of those. And we're not going to leave them all plain like this. We're going to add some details to this too to make this extra special. And then for the starfish, I chose this color, which was lake. And I ended up thinking that was a little bit too dark of a blue. So I do end up lightening that one a little bit. But the cloudless definitely needed a second coat. The Caribbean blue, not so much. But I decided to mix turquoise with that color. And I thought that gave me more of the ombre effect, where the starfish is the darkest. And then the lightest are on the ends, which are these little seahorses. Now I'm using my fine-tipped Surebonder hot glue gun. And I'm just drawing a very simple seahorse skeleton on there by doing 2 lines down, doing the fins, and then doing lines straight across. 1 little dot for an eyeball. And then they have that little like fin where you would think like an ear would be. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 2 lines down, then do lines across horizontally. Fill in the fin on its back with some little lines, an eye, and then a little fin here on the side. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's about as much detail as I could fit on something this small. And then I use my heat gun to get rid of all of the strings of hot glue that you're inevitably to get, but you want to get rid of now. Now for the sea turtle, I just drew like the shape of the shell. And then I'm just going in and doing little circles, kind of alternating them together to make a little pattern on the back of our sea turtle to give him lots of texture. And just kind of anywhere there was an opening, I put a circle. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Staggering 3 circles and just kind of working my way down, trying to keep it all to scale. And adding texture with a hot glue gun is a very simple way to take like a flat little ornament sign like this and just make it extra special. For the starfish, it already has a pattern on there of circles, and I can see that through the paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw all the circles back on. The last one you kind of fill all the way in, but that's okay. And give it that great little starfish texture. Now, the reason I painted them first is because I'm going to come in with a different color to kind of distress the hot glue that we put on there to kind of draw that out. And then I decided to add some eyes for our sea turtle as well, just by doing little tiny dots. Again, burning off any of the strings because when you distress it, you're going to be able to see that. So I'm just using a makeup sponge from Dollar Tree and some ivory acrylic. And I'm just dragging that over all of my ornaments, slightly distressing them, but also bringing out the great texture that we added with the hot glue. And I really didn't let this sit very long. It set up pretty quickly, the hot glue itself. And if you get too much distressing on there, you can kind of wipe that away with a little baby wipe till you get your perfect style. And now it's time to put this little beach sea creature mobile together. I think this is going to make a great wall hanging. Now my rope in the middle is a little bit longer than it needs to be if we're going to scale with the other one. So I'm just going to knot that shorter. And we can just cut that down to size. Now you could always add like some larger seashells to this as well. That'd make a really cute wall hanging. But I wanted to try something with these little ornaments from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. So I'm going to cut off the excess rope at the end of each one of them. I don't think I really want that part on there, but you could always comb that out if you wanted it. And now it's just a matter of putting this together. I did not cover any of the holes in the top of the ornaments, and we'll use that to help attach it with these little strings that also come with the ornaments. But that's kind of going to be a minor thing that holds them on. I'm going to kind of start them out with hot glue instead. At first I thought about tying them on, but it was going to kind of make them tie on a little bit crooked. And so I decided to hot glue them right above the knot, right at the bottom of the rope. Make sure that both my ropes are laying flat, and just hot glue my little starfish on. And then I take my twine and I go around from the back like this. And basically I want to push both strings in from the back. That way it'll be nice and even. And then we can just knot this in the front just by pulling it tight and just tying it over itself, and then just trimming off the excess twine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that method to put together all of these. So I make sure both of my cords are flat, right? And then I'm going to hot glue on my little sea turtle by just adding some hot glue to the rope itself. And sit my little sea turtle down there. And remember, the rope goes behind the cord. String both strings through the hole in the top of your ornament, and then you can knot it off in the front and then trim that down. Super easy to put this together, and it turned out so cute. It's definitely unique. I don't have anything like this in my home. And this would be cute for just about anywhere. It'd be really cute for a playroom or a kid's room as well. I think they'd really enjoy it too. And so our little seahorse over on the side, I did alternate my seahorses so that they're both pointing inward. I didn't really need to do that with the sea turtle or the starfish because they're kind of the same. And I just did that to kind of finish off the edges, kind of make it look symmetrical, right? So we're going to keep putting this together. And I'm really glad that I decided to do like the hot glue texture on these, because I really think it made them stand out and make them a little bit less plain than if you were just to paint them. You could always get, if you're a really good painter, you could always paint them to look more realistic too, but I can't say that I am a famous artist or anything. And so here is our final little ornament, tying that off. And I think 5 is definitely enough to fill up this wall hanging. And basically, that is all there is to it. They can all hang down like that. It's got the rope already attached to the top of it to hang it. And so it was just such a quick and easy DIY. And this is how it turned out. So if you see one of these little photo holders at your Dollar Tree, be sure to pick one up. I think they're really versatile. I think you could do a lot of different things with these. And this is just one idea.
Now, if you wanted to add bells or something on that, you could even make it like a wind chime if you wanted. Hey guys, if you visited my new website yet, it's craftybeach.net. I'm going to have a blog post on my website every single time I do a YouTube video. And basically, if you visit my website, you can go find the post that you want, click on it. You're going to see photos of all of the DIYs I made in that video. And the great thing is that you can pin them on Pinterest so you can remember to come back to make them. I also have the corresponding YouTube video down below to show you how I put the DIY together. I'm going to have everything by season. It's still relatively new with Easter, spring, and beach, of course. I also have a link to my Amazon store so you can see the items that I recommend from Amazon, and also a link to my Etsy store so you can get some of those fun crafting printables that I love to design. So craftybeach.net. I'm a few days behind on updating it because I just moved my son home from his first year in college, but I'll get right back after that. Now the next DIY, I'm still able to find these occasionally, the shell wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. One thing that I don't like about them is this a bright yellow color. It kind of makes it more difficult to DIY.
I don't want to cover it. I want to use the structure, so I'm going to use this spray paint. This beautiful blue color. I'm not really sure what the color was called. I'll find out and put that in the description below. I went outside and spray painted both sides. That way there was no like yellow kind of peeking out from behind. And then I want to cover it with one of these little kitchen towels from the Dollar Tree with that beautiful like blue and gray pattern that they had for shore living this year. And I just kind of wanted to show you how you could cover the back of it with just a dish towel. Now you can use whatever kind of fabric you have. I have made one of these with the burlap that they have from the Dollar Tree this year. So if you want to see that one, you'll have to check out that video as well. And it's just a matter of attaching this to the back because we're going to use that structure of the shell. And I'm going to use my fine tip hot glue gun because I want a very thin bead. I don't want hot glue all over the place. And my Ryobi shoots out a lot of hot glue. So I do a thin layer along the bottom and line up the towel. I have the kitchen towel sideways, and that makes it just long enough to cover the entire shell with one piece of fabric, which is what I was going for. Now, I can't really put hot glue on everything because it will set up before I get my fabric on there. So I'm only going to do the parts that I think are necessary. So I did the left side first, and then I'm going to do the right side. Then I decided not to do any of the middle pieces that kind of go straight up and down. I decided to do like all of like the little horizontal pieces that go through the shell. So once I got those sides, I decided to do that first like scallop pattern here. I can do that quickly before my hot glue sets up. And just line that and then flatten it out. I found that the hot glue doesn't even burn you through the towel because it's so thick. So that worked well. And you never know what you can do with these like really cute towels, like kitchen towels that you can get at Dollar Tree. You could also do this with the sea turtle pattern that they have out right now for summer. That would be really cute as well. But I wanted to kind of give you an idea of something else you could use to cover the back of these. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm just doing this horizontal section, going over the scallop shape and laying that on there before it sets up. And then we'll do the same thing for the top. It's going to be a little bit bigger scale. So I'm going to do one section at a time so that it doesn't set up between different sections. Because I want the fabric to be tight on there as I can, but I also kind of have limitations from the hot glue. Now, once I have it all glued down, I just need to remove the excess fabric. And so it's glued down pretty good. And now it's just a matter of getting some sharp scissors and trying to get in as close to that wire reform as possible. I've noticed these are really, a lot of my stores still have these. And so I think a lot of people don't really know what to do with them. They're a little tricky to decorate, the little shell wreath form, but I love them. I think they're super cute. So I was trying to get really close on these, but it was kind of taking me a while. So I decided to kind of switch it up and just get as good as I could get here and then go back and trim it closer if I needed to. Trying to make sure that I don't pull it away from the wire wreath form. I don't want it to come apart. But I think that looks pretty good and it's nice and colorful. I love this fabric. This is the same design that was on their placemats that I made like a little pillow DIY out of. And I use these placemats out in my Florida room too, on my kitchen table out there. And I think it's really fun. Now you could leave it like that, but I kind of wanted to finish the edges. So I'm going to use some of this thick jute cord from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker than the one from Dollar Tree. The only thing I don't like about this twine from Walmart is it is really fuzzy and crazy. So I'm going to take my lighter and you can't really see it, but I'm just going to burn off all the fuzzies. And so I'll have a nice cleaner rope to work with. Now I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue and I'm going to use that jute cord to kind of just finish it off. It's going to kind of seal the deal between the towel and the wire wreath form, and it's also going to frame it out and make it look nice. And it's thin enough that it's not really going to take away from the design too much. Usually with these wire wreath forms, I cover all of the wreath form with some kind of a rope, but for this one, I kind of like the details of just the wire that we painted blue, and I even thought about doing a back to this and adding a little polyfill in between. If you were to do that, it's going to give you that like pillow effect where the fabric and the stuffing's going to come up between each section of the shell, which I think would be really cute. It would add like another dimension to it. And so that might be something you might want to try with these as well. But I am just going to kind of leave it flat like this, and I end up decorating it a little bit more once I get it all framed out. Now, one thing you're going to want to try to remember to do is add a hanger to this. I didn't really want to mess with anything so far, so I don't have a hanger on it yet. But I'm going to show you I do end up kind of adding a hanger after I kind of get this part put together. So just finishing that off. That really kind of cleaned things up, and it made up for the part that I couldn't get real close with my scissors on that. Now here is the hanger. I'm just going to slide it in from the front and right here in the center, and I'm just going to tie a knot, make a very simple hanger. It's close enough to the top that it still hangs flat against the wall, and so I think that's going to work. Now, I want to decorate the bottom, and I thought maybe one of these sand dollars from Dollar Tree and a couple of seashells would be really cute. But I kind of want to make them coordinate with that print that we put on there. So we're going to make our shells and sand dollar blue. So I'm using like the lake color of acrylic, I think, on my seashells. That's definitely a color that you see in that kitchen towel. And I'm going to do both of my seashells in that same color. And then for my sand dollar, I kind of wanted kind of more of a turquoisey teal color. So I kind of mix several colors together until I get the shade in the towel that I was looking for. A little bit more turquoise, and that looks good. And I love working with these little plastic sand dollars from Dollar Tree because they're so easy to paint or to DIY with. They're not real. They're just like made out of plastic molds. And then to bring out all that great texture, I just distress all over with some white acrylic. All three of my shells. And I don't want to make them too white. I still want them to be colorful. So I do go back in there and kind of distress again with the original like lake color to make them a little bit bluer. And then we're going to decorate the bottom part of this wreath form with these. Sand dollar in the middle. And I'm just going to glue that on with hot glue to the wire structure. And I'm also going to add Dollar Tree flowers to the bottom of this to kind of make it extra special. But I definitely wanted the sand dollar and the shells glued to the wire to kind of make it stronger. So once I get my sand dollar on there, it's just a matter of doing the same thing with my little blue seashells for each side. See what a good job I did of like kind of matching the colors in the sign. I think it definitely goes well together. And I'm going to glue one of those to each side. They're not quite the same size, but that's okay because we're going to fill in that whole bottom scallop area with Dollar Tree flowers. Now these are the flowers we're going to use. They're called camellias, and I thought they were a beautiful like beachy blue. They're kind of a very small flower. And I just thought it needed more decoration here at the bottom. So I'm just going to start by trimming the little plastic piece off and then hot gluing these flowers down. And the good news about these flowers is that when you trim them, they don't fall apart. So that's always good. Otherwise, they kind of stick out a little bit more than I want them to. And I just kind of want to fill that whole bottom section in. I do a bottom row, as you see there, but I ended up not wanting the bottom row, so I do end up removing that at the end. But they were there for a time being. So I'm kind of just filling in all the different areas in between my shells. I don't really want to cover up my shells too much, right? But I do want to fill up the space with the flowers. And so I'm just going to start going in there and kind of filling this whole bottom section up. And we're going to speed this up to like rock and roll because there's a lot of flowers. I did use 3, I think a total of 3 arrangements of that camellia flower to fill in this whole section. And they're not like super beachy, you know, the beach, it's not like really a beach flower, but the color definitely, I think, goes with the coastal decor. And I'm basically just wanting to cover up all of the towel in that area. And the towel works great back there too, because I'm using that to glue it too. That's when I decided I didn't really want the flowers at the bottom. And so I'm just going to use my heat gun to kind of get those off. Try to get them off without causing any damage. And then I wanted to kind of tie it all up with a bow. So I take some Dollar Tree twine, a long piece. I wrap it around the back of the shell. And then I just wanted to tie like a simple little bow here to kind of make it look like it was all wrapped up. I thought that would be a really fun final touch. I wasn't super happy with my first attempt at a bow, but that's okay. We will just try again. And my second attempt turned out a little bit better. I just wanted a very simple bow just to make it look like it was tied up. And we've already got the hanger on there as well. So I think that this little reef DIY is complete. Just with a Dollar Tree towel and a few flowers and seashells and a sand dollar from Dollar Tree. Very blue. I love it. I think it turned out really cute. What do you guys think about my little reef DIY? And this is how it looks. You can see that towel texture. It's kind of cute though. I kind of like it. It's kind of unexpected, but the colors are beautiful. And I think it's a fun way to DIY this little shell wreath form.
Now, next up is one of my favorite DIY tools that I did not find this year at Shore Living. It's the plastic dish. Have you guys seen this year?
And we're going to make it look like a real shell and display it. I display this on my shelves with all my other beach decor, and I love it. It was so easy to put together. I just want to use one of these wood frames. I'm using the circle one, but it really doesn't matter. You could really use any of them, but the circle one did a good job. You could also use the metal circles that are on a stand. That would work great as well. Basically, I just want something to stand the shell up, but first, I want to make it look realistic. So it's very similar if you saw my last new video where I go over it with ivory chalk paint first, and I use a brush to get down in all the grooves, and I'm just doing, you know, the underside of the dish. It's got that beautiful shell texture on it, and once you get it painted and distressed, it looks just like a giant shell. It looks so cool. Nobody would know it was a Dollar Tree plastic plate under there. So I give it a good coat, kind of working in the direction of the grain of the seashell. And I go over it again because I want to make sure that I'm covering up, you know, any of that plastic that was shining through just a little bit. I definitely don't want it to look plastic. So one more coat of ivory chalk paint just to get good coverage. And that's how it looks so far. Pretty good, but we can take it up a notch and bring out the texture. I'm using some Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush, and I just drag it in the same direction that the texture is going on the shell to bring out all of the details on the shell. There's like details that go like up and down and around it as well. So you can start to see those as I distress that. Now I'm going to distress it further with a baby wipe, making sure I don't push down too hard. I don't want to take any paint off, but kind of want to spread that distress around. I want lots of different colors on our seashell and variations. And that is the secret to making this shell look like a real shell. I think it's so pretty, and it was so easy to put together. If you feel like you've got a little bit too dark, you can go in and touch it back up with a little bit of ivory, or if you found that you pushed a little too hard and took a little bit of the paint off some areas, you can always go back and distress with your original color. So I think that looks really good. And so now we just need to make a stand. I'm just going to mix some of that same ivory with some Antique Wax by Waverly. It's going to give me this cool like driftwood color, which is what I'm going for. And I'm going to use that to paint my stand. That's going to kind of make it coordinate, not look so plain as just the raw wood. And I just do the base and the stand part of it, anything that you might be able to see. Super easy DIY. So I'm just going to give that a dry, then go back with some Antique Wax by Waverly and distress it. That really gives you the wood look. I'm just kind of dragging that in one direction across the base to give like a faux wood grain, and wiping off the excess with a baby wipe. See that cool like driftwood finish you get? And I think that's gonna go really good with the shell. So now it's just a matter of attaching it. The circle works perfectly because I can just glue that inside. Nothing too distracting. So I just glue where I think it's gonna touch up with the shell, like right at the base and at the top of the circle. Easy peasy, just make sure it's glued down well, and you have a really easy coastal shore living decoration for only like what, $2.50? Pretty cool. And this is how it looks. I've been displaying this in my house for the past year, and I still love it. I still keep it on display with all of my coastal beach decor.
Now, they've had this the past few years, so hopefully you still have one if you were not able to find one this year, because I know I wasn't, but the dishware at my stores went so quickly that I'm not sure if I just missed it. Okay, you've made it all the way to the final reveal for all 15 of our beach Dollar Tree DIYs. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to hit the like button and don't forget to comment your favorite DIY in the comments below. Enjoy the final reveal.
For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. Seven years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got, and when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore. I get a little bit breathless, my thoughts are too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. A break to my heart. It's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. I know you don't wanna face it. You think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame. We fell down to the bottom, so bottom up please. We're gonna get over this. I see the smoke in the mirrors, I'm holding the key. One step away from salvation. You're like the ocean, setting me free. Out in the open, I'm picking up speed. No bad thoughts penetrate. Hold me like this is the first time. Our destiny calls, not leaving this incomplete. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame, and throw our problems in the flame.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all my Crafty Beach Bum members for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haran, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Julie Miller, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Debbie DeLay, and our newest member, Ariana's mama. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to become a member of the Crafty Beach Bums, all you have to do is hit the join button underneath today's video. It's $4.99 a month, and you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos here on YouTube. Okay, would you like some more beach DIYs? I've got you covered. Check out this DIY video right here. Okay, until next time, happy crafting.